Hello, dear friends. I'm Natalia Kolodenko, a psychologist, educator, entrepreneur, and motivational speaker. Today we'll be discussing how to sell your time for more, how to manage your resources, abilities, and connections. After all, how we manage these resources directly influences how profitably we can sell our time. First, I'd like to start by sharing a story with you. Recently, I visited a friend of mine who happens to be a multimillionaire in dollars. My son was talking with him, and during their conversation, the millionaire asked him, "What do you think true wealth is?" My son replied that true wealth is having a lot of money. To this, my friend responded, "That's not true. Real wealth is the amount of free time you have to do what you love." I thought this was a brilliant insight, and I have to share it with you. Why is this important? Because in the end, we want to convert money into something that brings us joy. Sitting on a pile of money isn't interesting to anyone, just as staring at impressive numbers on a bank account won't make you happy. So, when we talk about income and earnings, we should always consider them in the context of our lifestyle. I really want you to think about income as earning for life. Some people move to another country, do work they hate, accumulate money, but their life is put on hold. They think that when they've earned enough money to buy a house, a car, or pay off a loan, then they'll start enjoying life. But why is this impossible? First, not a single minute or second can be exchanged or returned. Every day we use our time, and it's gone forever. The idea that things will get better in the future may never materialize. Second, I don't like this way of thinking and living because people get used to living an ordinary life. I believe it's important to either live in development or live well. Development can be uncomfortable, but you understand what you're working toward. If you need to go earn money by doing something you don't love, there must be a clear and specific goal that will radically change your life. Or there must be parallel development, so your mindset evolves and you won't have to keep going back to earn more money. Hard times can happen, but life shouldn't consist of endless cycles of tough and ordinary periods because you get used to them, and the good life seems out of reach. Let's talk about capital. I think the idea of capital is oversimplified. Capital isn't just money. Capital is money, social status, energy, and time. These four types of capital strongly influence each other. It's important to get them working together, like the gears in a clock. Your money should enhance your social status, increase your energy, and help you manage your time effectively, or your energy should help you earn money. When people talk about wealth, they often mean only money. But rich people can also be unhappy, overwhelmed, and unable to spend their day as they wish. So wealth isn't just about how much money you have, it's about your way of life. Well-being is when, throughout the day, you feel good more often than not, even if you have only a minimal amount of money. This is important because it's energy. If one type of capital is in the negative, another should be in the positive, and that's up to you. I used to believe that energy is the most important form of capital, the one that can be transformed into any benefit, including money. However, now I can say that it's the balance and interaction between all four types of capital that truly matter. Let's explore how you can use this understanding to achieve everything you desire. So, let's start with the idea that wealth is a way of life. It's not just financial metrics, but emotional ones as well. It's about what happens to you over a period of time. How do you look overall, better or worse? On my birthday, a friend of mine, who's a music video director, called me and said, "Happy birthday," I replied, "Thank you," and added, "I was just looking through photos from my 35th birthday. How do we look in those photos, better or worse than now?" She asked. "What's changed?" I said. "I think we look better now," she responded. "Then you're living your life the right way." I asked her why she thought so, and she explained, "Because when people look back at photos from 10 years ago with nostalgia and think about how great things were back then, it means the last 10 years haven't been very satisfying for them." This is why the quality of your states and emotions is so important. When you look back, you should smile and be happy, seeing yourself as a wonderful person in wonderful circumstances. But when you look at a photo from yesterday, you shouldn't think, "Oh my God, what happened to me? I'm not as young, not as cheerful, and my fashion sense is terrible." Nostalgia for a beautiful past is a form of regression. The past, whether it was 10 years ago, yesterday, or even tomorrow, should all be equally beautiful. I'm not talking about looking through rose-colored glasses, but rather about a philosophical concept. If you feel like you're growing in the right direction, you'll never regret what didn't happen in the past because something new has appeared here and now. I believe that one of the keys to happiness is the feeling that you're in control, that your life isn't happening to you randomly like someone in a parallel reality pressing a button, suddenly causing problems to rain down on you, or showering you with money. You're not a puppet in a video game, you're the creator of your own life. This idea might not sit well with everyone, because if your life isn't as colorful as you'd like, it can be hard to accept that you might be a poor director of your own life. But I suggest adopting a mindset of 100% responsibility. Everything we have in life, we've created ourselves. We are both the directors and the lead actors in our lives. Our home is our theater, and we are the stars in it. As the lead actor, I can be the leading lady in my partner's life, or just someone in the background, either a beloved mother or not so much. As the director, I'm the one guiding myself as an actor. Now, I'd like to return to the topic of the 4 types of capital and break down each one so we can analyze our own capitals. The first type of capital is money. This includes financial assets and liabilities, property, currency, basically, everything related to finances. The second is social status. This is about how people perceive you, what they say to you, and how you feel emotionally and in terms of your appearance. There are things, jewelry, and cars that can elevate or showcase your social status. The next aspect is energy. Energy is intangible but highly noticeable. We don't have an energy meter like a phone that shows a 100% charge, but you can tell yourself in the morning, I'm fully charged, feeling great, or I'm already tired before even brushing my teeth. We'll explore why this happens later. The next type of capital is time. Time is all about how you spend it and what you spend it on. Now, I suggest an exercise. Write down your 4 types of capital: money, social status, energy, and time. Then, rearrange them in descending order, starting with the one you're most lacking. For example, I'm short on time. I often find myself doing what I have to do, rather than what I want to do. I manage to balance work with spending time with my kids or combining work with some enjoyment, but I struggle to balance all 3 aspects: work, relationships with my kids, and my personal development, like sports or singing. For instance, if I meet a friend, by the time I've arrived at the restaurant, 3 hours have already passed. Then, I feel guilty, thinking I could have spent that time with my child. Children are also a form of hidden capital. They'll either grow up constantly asking you for things, or, thanks to your influence, they'll become the ones who support you in your old age. Next, rate each aspect on a scale from 1 to 10. For example, I'm lacking time, so I rate it a 3. Energy gets a 6, social status an 8, and money a 10. Identify what you're missing the most and consider why you're doing this exercise. It helps you make decisions. Life often works like this. You find a rhythm for how to eat, when to go to bed, how to earn money, how to talk to your child. But there comes a point when these decisions stop being effective. That's normal. For example, when my child was little, I could say, "Mommy will cry if you upset her," and he'd respond. Now that he's 8, that no longer works. I have to talk to him differently. Many people want to set their life on autopilot, coasting downhill on a bike. But I don't know anyone who has managed to do that. You might coast for a while, but as soon as conditions change, like when it starts snowing, riding a bike becomes less practical. It's much more beneficial to learn to catch the wind, to adapt to changes in society, the economy, your family, and your health. This makes us unsinkable, not just stationary. So, what should you do with this understanding? For instance, if you're short on time, the next exercise is to analyze how you're using it. How can you eliminate time wasters? For 3 days, record how you spend your time every 30 minutes. Woke up at 7:30? Write it down. Stayed in bed until 8:30? Write it down. Morning routine from 8:30 to 9:30? Write it down. Breakfast. This is an important time. If you eat fried bacon with bread for breakfast, your day won't be ideal. Breakfast should be a ritual, done in peace, with a nice plate and pleasant music. This energizes you and helps manage your strength for the day ahead. Why am I talking about this? Because these small details fill us with energy. We're discussing time management, but through this exercise, I'm also showing you how to improve your emotional state and energy levels. For instance, if you do a 15-minute warm-up, it will increase your energy significantly. It's like starting an engine. If you have a proper, non-sweet breakfast, and I emphasize this with 18 exclamation points, eating something sweet for breakfast causes an insulin spike and increases hunger throughout the day. Breakfast should never be sweet. Remember this, just like dinner and the idea that sweets shouldn't be consumed daily. This is a huge topic on its own. Whether you choose to believe it or not, let's not delve into the physiological details now. If we don't want our decisions to be controlled by parasites, infections, bacteria, and fungi that thrive in a sweet environment including fruits, dried fruits, milk, and related foods, we must learn self-discipline. The point is, every time we eat something unhealthy, we feel guilty, and that guilt drains our energy. You might not notice how dissatisfied you are with yourself, but a person dissatisfied with themselves won't succeed in selling anything well in this life. You walk around knowing that you're not a prince or not a princess, we're not waste processing plants, and we can control our emotional impulses. When we fail to control them, our energy levels drop significantly. Now, let's move on. Suppose you spend 15 minutes getting dressed. You should record your entire day this way, from morning to evening, who called you, how long you talked on the phone. Do this time analysis for 3 days. Imagine time as money. You manage your budget spending on carrots, buying a skirt, paying for your child's activities. Similarly, you spend time on various things. Then, at the end of each day, review and analyze where your time was wasted. What are time wasters? They are activities that bring little joy, don't contribute to your growth, and, honestly, you wouldn't choose to do if you weren't driven by guilt or a sense of obligation. When I first did this exercise 15 years ago and I came up with it myself, I was shocked. I realized that I spent 4 hours a day talking on the phone with friends about nothing in particular. Just, "Hey Masha, how are you?" And during that time, I wasn't traveling anywhere, just sitting at home talking on the phone. I was living in Cherkasy and decided that if I needed social interaction, I would meet people in person because it's more energizing. I also noticed that I spent 2 hours flipping through a magazine and pacing back and forth. Time was slipping away unnoticed, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there. And it didn't seem like much, but it added up significantly. Why do I emphasize this so much? Because time is at least 25% of your capital, including financial capital. If, instead of chatting with a friend about nothing, you spend 15 minutes watching a film in English with subtitles, you could learn 20 new English words in a month. This would enhance your social status. A personal example: my basic, but conversational English has helped me out more than once. For instance, I've conducted interviews with American speakers. Sometimes I just nodded without fully understanding, but the fact that I greeted them and asked questions, whether with mistakes or not, elevated the communication and boosted my social status. And social status directly influences your financial success. We need to understand that if someone earns $300 but wants $5,000, they can't afford to spend 2 hours watching basketball. It's expensive, you're poor. How can you waste 2 hours on questionable pleasure? Instead, pick up a ball and play basketball. There you build social contacts, work on your body, increase your energy and communication skills, which could eventually lead to more money. Just sitting and watching others play on TV is absurd. The same goes for TV shows and movies. If you don't have enough money, these are always time wasters. You can't afford to just watch a film. Instead, you should watch a film with educational content, or a masterclass by Brian Tracy, Oprah Winfrey, Tony Robbins, or any other speaker. Listen and learn. Nothing comes without effort. After analyzing your time usage for 3 days, especially on weekends, which are different from work days, you'll understand where you're losing time. I can tell you that self-discipline, waking up and going to bed at the same time, eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the same time, and having physical activity in the morning, afternoon, and evening will guarantee at least a 20 to 30% increase in the flow of money into your life. I've tested this myself. When you provide your body with stability, not staying up until 2 a.m. on social media, you increase your level of calmness and energy. Try to stick to this system for at least 2 to 3 days, and you'll see how it changes you. Or avoid toxic conversations. If a friend calls you with problems about her husband, and you listen, because you don't know how to say "I'm not interested," or see a psychologist, or get a divorce, it's not your problem. We allow toxic people and situations to affect us as long as our own life is toxic. The level of toxicity in your life directly influences how much more garbage you're willing to accept. As long as you're a trash can, trash fits in well. But once you become a flower basket, there's no room for garbage. This means you must stop allowing toxicity into your life, even if it requires decisive actions. If you feel on a physical level that someone is offloading their problems onto you, and these people have no intention of solving them, and just want to vent, you should say stop to yourself. When I have problems, I solve them. When I didn't have money, I looked for information in books. When I got money, I started seeing specialists of various kinds, and I'm not ashamed of it. If my heart hurts, I go to a doctor. If the doctor says I'm healthy, I see a psychologist, because it's probably psychosomatic. Most people don't address their problems. Instead, they waste their time to avoid noticing them. For example, if someone lacks money and instead of learning to earn, they spend time on social media. Social media time should also be limited. My phone shows screen time, which is typically 7 to 9 hours a day. Do you think I spend all that time effectively? Of course not, but the thing is, I don't have a money deficit, so I can afford this luxury. However, I always pay attention to the toxic need to waste time and ask myself, what task am I hiding from? When there's a need to do something beneficial, like a light workout or making a shopping list, it can bring future benefits. For me, wealth is about taking care of the quality of life. For example, you don't need to be very rich to eat better. You can just cook buckwheat instead of frying potatoes. This affects energy levels, strength, and overall health. We tend to ignore our physical state and only focus on it when it becomes visibly unattractive. However, I know many people who wake up feeling tired in the morning. This indicates that they've been in energy deficit for a long time. The less energy you have, the stricter your schedule needs to be. This way, you reinvest time and stop forcing yourself to do unnecessary things. Any habit can be broken, but the psyche and body are tuned for improvement. As soon as you give yourself more quality sleep, nutrition, and movement, your body will reward you, and good new ideas will come to you. Money is an idea. For instance, a friend of mine bought a Karcher vacuum cleaner and started cleaning carpets for people, earning good money from it. This idea came to him because he had the energy and time. When you watch a series with no artistic value, good ideas don't come. You descend to a lower level energetically and emotionally. The worse the information you consume, the worse your food cravings, and the less desirable the people you want to interact with become. It's a vicious cycle from which you need to pull yourself out. Napoleon Hill wrote about how he decided to make a lot of money despite lacking support. He created a secret society of great scientists and politicians with whom he imagined consulting. This technique helps connect with the collective unconscious and make wise decisions. We always know what our mentor or someone we admire would say. When I choose clothing, I ask myself whether Princess Diana would wear it. Sometimes the answer is no, and I don't buy it. But if I think that right now my stylist is Dolce & Gabbana and they want a bright skirt, I might choose it. Identify a list of people whose opinions matter to you and don't change your decisions until you reach a new level. How to sell time for more. Each person can find their own way based on their hobbies, skills, and knowledge. It's not difficult. But if you constantly waste time, you waste energy, lack social status, and won't have money. Analyze your time and think about where your energy goes and where it comes from. I ask myself if what I'm about to do will give me energy. If I go to a stretching class, will I come out feeling energized? I've learned to think from the perspective of energy because I know that energy equals money. For example, time with a child gives me energy, just like firing a toxic employee or clearing out a closet. Example: most people have a mess in their time and energy, which reflects on their social status and financial well-being. Imagine you have a big closet and when you open it, there are many things. But when you start looking for something specific, it takes too long and causes irritation. Time wasted leads to energy loss. When I read Marie Kondo's book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, she emphasized that finding any item in the house shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. If you don't know where your winter boots are, that's a problem. Fortunately, I have a housekeeper who knows where everything is, but I used to get frustrated when I would search for things in boxes and on shelves. If you don't know where things are, it means you have too many, or they're not organized. Sometimes, you might have many clothes in your closet, but nothing to wear because it's unclear what matches with what. It's more beneficial to spend time learning the basics of style, organizing clothes into outfits, and getting rid of items that don't fit into these outfits. If you have things you haven't used in over a year, they clutter up your space, sell them. When you need a drill, you can borrow one or rent it. Storing everything that might come in handy someday disrupts the balance of your space, especially if you live in a small apartment. To sell your time for more, you need to become a more valuable person. This requires time, effort, and energy to develop your strengths and skills. For example, instead of watching TV shows or chatting with a friend on the phone for 2 hours about nothing, you can use that time for self-improvement. I can spend time shopping if it brings me joy. This will be an investment of time, as pleasure always brings energy and ideas about money. I used to fear entering expensive departments because I was afraid I'd want something. Now I do it with pleasure. If I want something, I set a goal to earn money for it. This goal becomes my new teacher, motivating me to optimize my time and think about how to earn 10% more. Don't fear money. Start analyzing and admitting to yourself that you don't have enough because you're not pushing yourself enough. That's the only reason. Some people need 2 days to memorize 10 English words, while others need 20 minutes. If you live at a slower pace, it's not because you're unintelligent, but because you've engaged in many toxic activities that filled your brain. For example, my English improved because I spent more time in the relevant environment. When I recorded an interview with Joe Vitale, it was my first English interview, and I felt insecure. But when I interviewed Martino Cartier, I felt more confident because I had gone through similar experiences a few times. Now I regularly negotiate in English, with a translator by my side who helps with the words. I direct myself into this experience, even if my language skills are not perfect yet. This boosts my energy, social status, and brings money. Money doesn't always come immediately. It might come through contacts and opportunities you create for yourself by investing your time and energy. When you meet someone, it's important not only to look good but also to be energetically charged and engage in interesting topics. This way, you can make a good impression, and the person might offer you something or introduce you to the right people. This is an example of scaling. The poverty mindset does not tolerate scaling, it only sees how to pile more food onto the plate. When you overeat, you deplete your energy because after overeating, people want to sleep and lack energy. Learning to live in a state of hunger is an art. I have a friend who taught me a technique before serious negotiations. She fasts for 24 hours. She says that a wolf must be hungry because a full wolf will not chase the hare. Money is prey, and to hunt for it, you need to be hungry and ready to fight for your interests. It's important to separate relationships from business. Money is money, and communication is communication. Mixing these concepts risks making you poor, even if you were rich before. There are many more methods to turn a billionaire into a millionaire than vice versa. Do not allow yourself or others to rob you energetically, emotionally, or financially. When you lend money, especially if you have been deceived before, it is better to spend that amount on psychotherapy. Typically, taking money out of the house is related to low sexual energy. If a man lacks quality sex, he will lend and give away money. Women face a similar situation. Low sexual energy may result from dissatisfaction in relationships, which requires making decisions rather than blaming others. Honest relationships with yourself are an effective life skill. Out of 24 hours, you sleep for 8, and the remaining hours are often spent on family service, work you don't like, and attempts to enjoy rest. It is important to use your time effectively. For example, if you watch sports dancing to learn and get inspired, it is an investment of time. If you watch it because you lack the energy to move and critique others' mistakes, it is a toxic situation. The best use of time is to participate in activities yourself. This was psychologist Natalia Kolodenko. Complete all assignments and recommendations, and I am sure you will see results in the near future. See you.